Religion, by definition, is conflict. If you would ask me what religion is the conflict between you and the divine.
Okay, dig that down a little bit. Explain that. I get it, but it's an interesting concept.
Sigmund Freud would call religion your super ego, which imposes its will on the individual. And you're in conflict. Your ego is like saying, hey, religion, calm down, I'm not ready yet. Or no, it turns to you, the immature id, and says, hey, guy, grow up. It's time. So what most people study when you're a kid, you study biblical text. Biblical text doesn't have that much conflict in it. Of course, there are stories about conflict, but the ideas are like God wrote a book to Moses and read it. What happened then was about 700-800 years after the biblical text was given, there started arguments on what did God really mean. And what they published was in year 500, at the same time as the New Testament was published, something called the Talmud.
I hope it's not going to be a crazy day. I don't know if you guys heard a dual echo there. I hope it wasn't going out. Okay, I know what's going on. I know what's going on. All right, so we should now be okay. Oh, no, maybe not. I think I have, I see what I'm doing. I'm a one-man band, and I was going to go right into an opening dissertation, but I had a couple of channels open that I didn't realize were open volume-wise, and that was getting that echo like I did a couple of weeks ago. But fortunately, I was able to recover quickly and go right into the opening monologue. I want to talk a little bit about today. Good afternoon, friends, right? Welcome back to Insights and Straight Talk. I'm your host, Rod Duff, and today we're going to start with something very simple, that you feel it in your gut, the middle class squeeze. So, I don't want to read that all the way through, but I was writing some things that we need to talk about here, and it made me think. First of all, we're going to talk about, as you guys know, the out of the gate, we're talking about technology, AI. Move this over here. We've got a camera for it again. We're talking about AI technology. The headlines here, global headlines. The live audience begins. But in all honesty, yesterday during our conversation, it's a weird term, in all honesty. Hopefully I'm speaking honestly all of the time. But it is the term that it is. So I'm going to use that and say, in all honesty, we're in a weird situation. Well, no, we're in a weird situation, of course. So yesterday somebody asked me about how tough is it for people around the table, around the table discussions when it comes to everyday meals and families and just living through life. And I was in the grocery store the other day, and somebody asked me, or they didn't ask me. I'm sorry. I happened to be walking by, and I just heard the part of this conversation. This mom I assume his mom was talking to this little girl and said, "No, honey, we can't buy the name so and so cereal. We have to buy this one." Just watching our money, and it made me realize people aren't they're choosing between glorious things, between pleasures and above the board stuff. They're deciding on whether to get bread or milk. That's a tough, and I'm not saying they're like that. I have the same issues. I run and building up, and I haven't started paying off debt yet, but I've got all that facing me once somewhere we get to a point where we can. But I mean, going to the grocery store is still tough. And here's the thing: it's been decades like this for them. I said not yesterday, 2 days ago on the show, somebody asked me, what's it like for the what's the toughest thing? What's the biggest struggle for the great middle class in America? And, is inflation that struggle? Is that the biggest struggle? I said, well, yeah, but I played it down more than I really should have because, and when I say played it down, I didn't give it as much credit. I didn't purposely play it down. I just, when the conversation struck me, I've been listening to how the prices of things are going down and gas is going back down again. And, well, I don't know if it currently is, but it is down. And a number of other things, but it's the middle class has been under pressure for decades. What's changed is the speed. Every time we catch a break, interest rates, inflation, job market shift. Something else hits. The system is built to protect the middle class, right? It's not built that way. It's not built to protect us. And that's the backbone. And that should be the protected child, not because I'm that. It sounds like it all the time, though. But, the middle class, it's built to squeeze us until only two classes remain, the wealthy elite, and those who can survive in the middle class. Everybody needs to pay them. Now, with all that said, we need visionaries, we need leaders, we need people that are going to be the wealthier of a community. But that can't be in lieu of, and I'm not saying tax the wealthy more or any of this stuff. I'm just saying let's get better leaders. Why do I have this? There's something, is there a light there or something? Pardon me. There must be a gap here, I think. Yeah. So let me know, you guys. Come on, in the comments, right here, right now, live. Tell me what's your biggest squeeze. What points do you feel the hardest? What's going on in your world? Because when we speak about it out loud, we start to take the narrative back, taking that narrative back, and from those who want us to stay quiet. We talk about this all the time. The more girth and breadth we have, the bigger we are, the louder our voice is, which isn't comparatively loud to special interests and those that give money. And so we have to think about this differently. Like in everything else in our life, in the great middle class and the working class, you're going to succeed more by sweat equity, at least in the beginning, by sweat equity than any other kind of equity. Because our equity is our biggest equity is in our sweat, our work, our effort. So what have you guys got to say? What's your biggest issues facing you right now? Let's get some questions and answers coming up, and then in a little bit I want to talk about pivot. I want to pivot. I want to talk about generational voices and legacy, and that's because I want to also talk about there's some very potentially special things going on that's come through the school regeneration project. There's a very large, it seems to be very large, been around since 2002, and are recognized by the Red Cross nationally, by several presidents, by the UN, did I say the Red Cross? I think yes, and a couple of others, but they're a very important voice in bringing the world in peace and love and bringing people together. And there was somebody, and this is run by a gentleman, a musician. I won't give you too much more because there's only discussions that have gone back and forth, which is very cool. But there's this really exciting program that they are. Well, let me check back here. I want to make sure I'm not missing any questions before we go on here. No, we're good. Okay, I appreciate it. Oh, wow, we got a lot of people on. Hey, guys, how you doing? I was on another screen getting information while we were going through stuff, so it makes me a little blind unless, of course, I do this, which is really bad to do right now because you get that tunnel. But I was going through this here with you folks. And when I do that, you can hear me. I can't see you because I'm on a different vision. I don't know what they call that. I'm on a different screen. So, the regeneration project has really attracted a lot of people. I spoke to a lady from Germany. Well, she left me a voicemail. I didn't get it, but she sent me an email and said, "Hey, I sent you a voicemail about your project. I'd like to help this and that, but there's a lot of problems going on in Germany. So directly, we only support, so to speak, people in local areas because there's so much problems there." We talked about our friends in Sweden and Switzerland, that area. A lot of problems there, and so as far as what's going on currently today, this organization is literally brought to the London Harmony Symphonic Harmony Orchestra, whatever the real famous one, the one is that I'm saying totally wrong. They brought Palestinian, UK or London, and obviously London, and Jerusalem or Jewish, Palestinian Jews in the UK, Christians, let's say, to play in an orchestra together. And it was obviously for a fundraiser, for awareness. This was a little bit ago. That whole region is not new to conflict. I mean, it goes back to through the Bible, in the Bible, throughout the Bible, the Quran, and all that. It's been a troubled place for a long, long, long time. And I say that very lightly, though it does not. It deserves much more than a light reference or deference. And I'm giving it a deference because I'm not making an opinion. This is not a political point. It's just a fact. That a lot of humans and a lot of just things. I mean, artifacts, history, knowledge, confidence, religious stability, comfort, all the things that religion is supposed to be about. I'm getting better talking, aren't I? I don't slur as much as I used to. I'm enjoying this and this comfort level. Did I get anybody going here on questions? Why did I do that? Oh, I was on force. Sorry. Yeah. Hey, Jeff, do you think automation will change politics in the next decade? Ooh, wow. Well, yeah, I mean, it's going to change everything. The automation part, let's separate automation and AI because they're combined in that AI is the brains behind automation. Automation is something else, though. AI is a bunch of other things, right? I mean, that makes sense. That's like saying email and internet. Email is a part of the internet. You're able to send emails because of the internet. You're able to do automation because AI enables the intelligence, the thought process, the following of instructions. AI learns you and your definitions of things. And so it creates that automation better. Now, yes, being able to send out information, be able to tabulate information, which they probably already run a lot of AI. So it's got to get better even still than we know. It's better than we know by far. It's like saying we know all the things that the military has. We're a couple generations behind always. We're a couple generations behind the web. You think Web 3.0, 3.5 is new? No, it's not. Copper has been traditionally used for phone lines, right? And all that. It's a great conductor. But, fiber optics have been around since the 60s. AT&T has had that for you regionally. AT&T is, well, they're national, so you should know AT&T and probably others, but AT&T, at least at the time, was the dominant telecommunication thing, and it's still a giant and maybe still dominant to a degree. But there's so much that's around already that we are behind because, well, the military you totally get because you don't want the enemy to know what all you have. You want them on their back heels. I mean, anytime there's a conflict, you want to have the upper edge. If you tell them everything, just like if they told you everything, you're going to have an edge, right? I mean, come on. So do I think automation will change politics in the next decade? So that's a yes. The efficiency of selling a candidate and of finding out, for us, finding out, well, that's still AI, but we can automatically find out and run an automation to compare against people, but that's still mainly leaning towards AI. So with whatever argument I gave, automation there is affecting politics in the coming years, decade, this decade, not next decade, this decade, and next decade, and so on and so on. Because how far away are we from the actual Jetsons? One of my streams playlists is the Jetsons new. And we're here. The AI is coming. And any of you remember that commercial? If you don't, look it up. It's pretty funny. Especially it's like Star Trek. It's like all these things that seemed so exotic before, which aren't so exotic now. And those are all within my lifetime. I talk about my great aunts. I was corrected. I used to say she lived to be 114. She didn't, apparently. She lived to be 104. Before my mom passed, she cleared it up with me after going over one of those videos I used to do. And I refer to her a lot because you see the technology change. When she was a baby, a child, still a toddler, I think, her family, the family, my family, that family, came across the West in a covered wagon, just like the Westerns you hear about and see or whatever. Before she died, she saw the space shuttle go up. So it used to be, I thought that happened within 114 years. It actually happened a decade sooner than that. And if there's anything beyond that she saw, I don't know. But the first space shuttles were in the 80s, right? So somewhere in there, imagine, that's when the internet was coming in. That's when a lot of music technology-wise, not music, but technology and being able to manipulate sounds. And I doubt she experienced much of that, but she had a little round lady, very adorable, told the best stories in the world. I won't bore you with some of them now, but she had that blue hair. Back in that day when women had gray hair, they had a very light tint that you would wash in. The original tinters. So I crack up at some of these people who do blue, black hair and green and all that. My auntie Nora, she was in the blue. They were all in the blue. But anyway, that's another day. So the thing that I think that is going to be bigger is what I was alluding to earlier in politics is our ability to scrape information. I can scrape. It's called scraping. I'm sure there's a ton of other terms for it, but I can scrape on somebody. I say do, and it'd be easy for a political candidate because you could scrape and boom, you'll get a very nice report. You tell it what you want and how detailed. Then you can have it compare against the candidate, compare against what they're voting for and why on the things that are on the ballot that cost money. Basically, a digital why do I always go blank on this name? A digital something party. I don't know why I go blank on that name. Ronaldo, if you're out there, or one of the regulars, if you're out there, one of the regulars, I say, one of the people that come on regularly and watch the show, basically every episode. Oh my God, thank you, people. Thank you. That's unbelievable. Watch Party, that's the name. Ronaldo's Watch Party. So Jeff, that's going to be the biggest thing that I think AI will change. Now, how we prepare ourselves for the ability for us to do that, that's up to us. We're human beings. We have choice, which is a good thing, a God-given thing. It also can also work in our disfavor. So if I move on here to Leon, oh, this is a new one, film law. Oh wait, maybe you have been on here before, I believe, but not a regular. Can robotics solve labor shortages in industries like farming? It's already doing that. So is AI. You, me, all of us, including law. Law is going to be one of the first ones to be greatly affected. Not to the nth degree, but if you're a law firm here, you're already being affected because AI is able to very easily. I mean, business models. Look at everything. Let's see what industry, like farming, any industry, right now already. Maintenance schedules, operations, ops, manuals. You know, all of these procedures are going into AI and being written better than they were before. Of course, you still got to check it and do all that. You know, make it a really official document that, I mean, if you wrote it or your best person wrote it, you'd still be checking it, of course. But probably going to be way better than anything you've done out. I use it all the time, and I use it as a checker. I use it as a fact checker. I use it to put SEO into things because I'm not an SEO expert, and I'd have to hire an SEO expert. Well, who's the best SEO expert out there? AI, right? I mean, right? I mean, I would think so. And you know, and I've told my AI team to focus on these things, to focus on this, and so when I create the document, the information, the letter, the email. I've always enjoyed writing, so it's not something I really want to give up. But I'm very willing to say, hey, can you lay that out in a way that sounds in this tone better than what's here? And we talked about it. And my assistant and I throw out what I think are pretty good documents, really good, actually very good documents. Will robotics solve labor shortages? They may create labor overages. Part of my my school regeneration program is to rebuild the great middle class from the inside out. And so we're starting that in the school systems for many reasons we'll go into later. Somebody gets into those questions. But in that, we also have, say, an after-school program or a community center program where their kids come together and present to their parents different projects or this or that. There's that. And there's just the intercommunication, and then there's the counselor interaction, tying in with the family, dialing in and tapping into, because part of the kids' programs is yes, inner self-improvement, building a better person from the inside out. But part of that is not only working on their mental health, but part of that is the guidance of where your interests and where your directions of life and your journey, what drives you goes, because all of us, so many of us, so much of us in the great middle class and in any class, honestly, you start driving towards something, and maybe for one reason or the other, you weren't able to follow your dream. And that happens probably a great amount of the time because of one factor or another. The first being you aren't really confident in that dream. That always is the deciding factor, no matter what the other circumstances are. Because if you believed in it enough at the time when you had to make that decision, then you wouldn't be able to say no. You wouldn't be able to not get off that journey. But so many of us don't. And so repurposing, so tacking off of that for the kids to build that in from the very beginning. Things I wish I would have known into when I'm 15. You know, our personality develops at 5, and then by 10, the parental influence starts to wane because other factors are taking as much attention, time, as the parental original influence. And that's a fascinating thing to look at in this program, because we don't also want to develop kids' personalities. Is a kid's personality, is it with the parent, is that personality now going to change because we're telling it, we can't tell it what its personality wants to become. I say it just to be simple. It's a live, breathing thing, a child. The next generation, the generation I depend on to make sure it's still going along right behind my granddaughter's generation, so that that I don't have to live in the streets when I'm 75 and still doing stuff because the economy's gone to shit and old people like me don't have any things. So yeah, there's going to be an improvement, and there's also going to be a great improvement in capability and in yields. And I say farming, so I'm using the word yields, but yields can go across all industries. How much are you yielding in product, and how much does loss now that doesn't exist, whatever that percentage is, that's now not a loss? How does that go into factoring down to bringing down costs because competition is out there? Different factors, different times. I don't want to get into specific segments in time on how that works and why that benefits us. But AI is actually going to bring the cost of living and everything else down to let's get into that conversation later, because it's true and it's big and it's gigantic. And we have to be on top of things to take advantage of it. So we need to talk about that more. It will help, and then it will also hurt, because if we're not part of the AI generation, we're not caught up enough to participate, then the jobs that will be shifting over, and that's what I was talking about, from kids to parents. Parents get additional job training. Jobs are being done from the home. My son, he has a company called B Money. I don't know how it's all structured exactly, but he's got several companies, and he goes by, well, the company I think is called B Money, but his podcast is just at Brandon Duff, like me, Rod Duff, 1939. He just got Brandon, BRANDONDUFF, and he talks about different streams of income. Actually, I'm working with them on a couple to see about increasing the streams of revenue. Curator now, working on a curator program now, podcaster, obviously, model, poet, author, that kind of stuff. So those ways of thinking about yourself, especially the further you get out from the very core of the technology parts of the cities, whether you get out, the thinner and thinner and thinner this all gets. Get a few questions coming in. I'll jump over right here in a second. There's going to be a lot of effect, and it's going to be all positive except for those who aren't able to participate. And I don't just mean kind of, surviving in it. You got to thrive a little bit. You got to be at a level to be able to thrive, to what I like to call be ahead of the curve or be ahead of the ball, so that you're in front of it. In this case, that's a good thing. So I hope that helps you. And watch out for your legal stuff. You're going to have different structures somehow. I don't know. The law is lawed by lawyers, and so I don't know how much time that'll all take, but it's coming. So Mac, what's up, dude? How can we make sure AI benefits communities, not just corporations? And I take it another step further, Mac, and politicians. Yeah, this is what we're talking about. And Mac, Mac, listen. I'm going to put you back up here. Mac, listen. AI actually does the opposite. It makes the ability for the average person, for the mom and pop shop, for the small company, for under 100 employees, for under 1,000 employees. You're starting to get big now. Way big. You're way big. Under 100 employees, you're still pretty good size. Under 25, 50 employees. If you're trying to compete with the big boys, in the past, they've had all of the resources because they have the revenue and the people and all that structure is built. It's been earned over the years, but it's built. Now, us new pups coming. Well, I'm not a pup, but all the younger, smaller companies coming in, going to compete with that, especially depending on the industry. You've got AI at your capabilities. You come join communities like mine or like ours and others. There's a lot, and there's a lot of people that are doing things to write AI for free because it's, there's just nerds out there that eat, they love this stuff, and God bless them. Let's keep that all going and strong and hardcore, because we need to make sure the communities benefit, because the small businesses. You said communities. First thing you think of, what do you think of? You think of neighborhoods and you think of small businesses. You don't see a community around a large corporation. You may see spread out, to support that, different things. But in a community, I envision it like here in Mangum. Got a small center town. We've got little shops. There's an Ace Hardware. You got to go to the next town to get to the big box, any other big box stores. Got a couple of this, a couple of that. You got a grocery store and 14,000 churches. I've got a community here, and there are a bunch of different community churches. But no, I chuckle at that, but it's very cool. I've never experienced that. I know the Southern Baptist grew up where basically there were a church on every corner and a bar on the other one. But this is the Bible Belt, so that's the thing. There's no bars here, but what else? So where was I on that? Beliefs and communities. So we get all that going correct. We get that balance. Like I always say, we have a healthy middle class. We have a strong America. And a strong America means a surviving world. This world is very unstable. There's a lot of concerns about it. We're just floating around out here in space. In the bigger picture, it's very comfortable, but when you bring it down a little closer, it gets a little more personal. In that we got to make sure we're moving in the right direction, because this is all happening for a reason. All the factors well beyond my knowledge, but there's a reason time is speeding up. There's a reason education is moving forward. There's rumors in the past. This has gone through a couple of times before. So I'm looking at it as, that may or may not be true. I mean, I've seen, you've seen artifacts that would kind of blow your mind for a second. You'd think there'd be a whole shitload more, unless the whole world just incinerated or something, which is possible. But anyway, too much to know, man. That's how we make sure, though, we get involved. Matt, if you haven't subscribed, guys, folks, women, ladies, girls, boys, people of all kinds, dogs, sign up, like this episode if you like it, especially if you like it. You could like it if you don't. I mean, I appreciate it, but especially if you like it, just hit that click. Help us get moving forward here a little bit more. So how we can make it happen is by being involved, by talking, by doing this, by putting colors between the layers, by peeling off the onion, all those terms that are out there. We can do this thing. We just have to do this thing. Danny, how many middle-class workers prepare for automation shifts? Prepare for automation shifts. Oh, okay, for automation shifts. No, but I would venture to say a very low percentage. How can? Sorry, I read that wrong. Doing this. It's the same question. Mac, dude. Hey, Mac, meet Danny. Danny, meet Mac. Okay. Danny and Mac, meet me. We've got an automation class we're taking pretty. We're trying to balance the level of information coming in because the class starts from very beginner and works its way through session 1, session 2, session 3, session 4, and just like any other one. So, there's a lot going on, and honestly, most of the attention's going to the school regeneration program right now because I know that was weird. Huh, that's crazy. So most of the attention is going to, Facebook's having a possible issue. Damn you, Facebook. What are you guys? Come on. All right, let's go. Can't post comment to some destinations. All right, well, thanks, Facebook. So what was it like last week? It was Instagram. Ishel, how are you, Ishel? Great insights today. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Thank you, my dear. I appreciate that very much. I very much enjoy what we're doing here. We talked about the struggles of the great middle class, and I kind of put it in a little more direct comment for whatever that's worth. When I was talking about the inflation issue, I'm trying to drag something over, and it's being very uncooperative. Bitch. It was being quite. What was I talking about? I started talking about this, and I don't remember. But the struggles of the great middle class. Yesterday it just stuck with me overnight, and I'm thinking, that's really, it's not as true as it should be. Trust but verify. Remember, I mentioned that a couple times yesterday. So anyway, right now we're at about the 38th hour. So I'm going to get into some of the highlights of what people asked, but I really want to know what you guys think about the school regeneration program. How much you know about it, and I'm not asking for anything here to help. I would like advice. This week, yesterday actually, I sent emails out to the local school administrators, the pre-learning, I think they call it, pre-kindergarten kind of thing, principal, and then I sent it a different letter to the high school principal, 9 through 12, right? This other one was, I think, pre-1, something like that. But this is all part of the official Mangum or Greer County school system. And then I sent one to the business manager of the town, and a couple financial people in the town, and the principal. Like I said, that I didn't do the principal of junior high, elementary, and so forth, because I didn't want it to start to sound like I'm slamming everybody. But if the very high school principal and the undergrad principal, however you term that, if they both have that and the interest there, because there's in this high school system, I think right now there's 127 K through 9. 127 9 through 12. So it's a small school, and got a good football team from what I hear. I was going to go Friday to a game, and it totally slipped my mind. So I definitely got to get in there and check them out. I hear they're very good. They have the perfect size to kind of integrate some of these systems in to the school system, but there's all sorts of stuff that involves, and so before that, we already have a proof that it works. In that we have the Insights and Straight Talk with Emma Lynn and Grandpa Rod. And we're getting hundreds of people coming in, asking questions, parents asking about their children, children asking, teenagers asking about their, how to communicate here. Every time two teenagers talk, a little bit of a wall is broken down and conversations flourish. People get into, okay, I can talk. My voice is going to be heard. I'm not going to be judged. I do have whatever my knowledge and opinion is, that's worthy of a conversation. And that's all people need. And that's what some of the tools that parents don't have. That's part of that aftermarket. I come from industry, after school program kind of things, the additional adult education. These are all aspects here. Let me come back to you guys. Kind of lazily hanging out over there. No more new questions. Okay, fine. You guys are attentive and just hanging out, huh? Give me some things that would be interesting for you in upcoming conversations. Actually, this is going to be an interesting conversation here. Let me just go over here. I'm actually getting more confidence that I can see. This is my YouTube. Now you're looking at me looking at my YouTube. Here's my channel. So if I come over here and go to the lives, this is what our channel looks like, by the way. These are the different episodes we've done over the last few weeks. There's Emma. Another one, a couple of them up here too. There's Kelvin, beautiful AI dude, and digital cyber security. Very smart dude. His wife's totally into IT. But these are some of the subjects we've been running. There's another one, Emma there. This one was awesome, and she does a lot of marketing stuff. There's going to be a lot of ways to find and utilize additional. And what's so cool is you can do it from anywhere. Like I moved here. I could have never done that with my machinery business, but I moved here because I'm able to now. So this is today. This is what we're doing today. I'm sorry, this is tomorrow. We're going to be getting into some additional subjects along these matters. Emma Lynn is on Saturday. And then Monday, this is going to be an interesting one. Just read here with me. So step into the unfiltered balance of Alfred Harrell, writer, producer, host, and author of Split, Souls in Transition. It's interesting. I'm really excited about this. From the acclaimed podcast, Life is About More Than Living and Perch. The Dark Side of the Spirit. Alfred brings the honest and unapologetic truth to the stage, and you know how we position ourselves. It's an exclusive YouTube appearance. Alfred dives into deep topics, society and culture. I'm really excited about that. You and I both know, obviously, I love storytelling and poetry and the struggles that shapes us all, Christianity, faith, hope, resilience in today's world. I love balancing on that. My chapter 13 in the book is called Blinded by the Light. Political and social issues. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to talk about. Entrepreneurship, building, creating, and inspiring others to thrive. I'm really excited about being able to share his. I don't even know if you were looking at that. But this is tomorrow's show. Known as more than a poet, Alfred is a dynamic speaker with a community voice. Blends art, activism, and spirituality into a powerful message and truth. And that's what's going on right now with me. It's something I wanted to talk about that's really been kind of blowing my mind over the last couple of days. Everybody goes through their struggles, and we're always trying to work through. Life is not a single line. It's a back and forth path as we always talk about with each other. So, but over the last couple of days, there's been some really exciting opportunities that are coming forward, meaning that people are wanting to jump in and build. I talked about that lady in Germany earlier, who wants to create something together that we can then benefit by doing what we're doing now. And one of my best friends growing up, I haven't seen him in a while now, but Joe Heap in a company called Patriot Video. He's a musician and actually was one of the influences of my singing growing up. Well, through the older young adult to now age, not growing up back in high school. He was a Texas boy. I was a military boy, everywhere boy. But he does a podcast. Well, he didn't do a podcast. What he does is he provides he puts together a musical team, a band, or depending on whatever the scenario is. And then when people have big events, that are fundraising events, he offers his, hey, we'll open up for you guys to support this. We'll bring in some additional audience. You'll go out to our audience. We'll live stream it. So there's a lot of people really kind of coming together and working together behind the scenes, not really televised, not really shown up out there unless you're Live Aid or somebody. But back to speaking of Live Aid, then there's this company, the singer, this pianist and vocalist, touring forever. 20-some years ago, put together this because of what happened at 9/11. And so through that, he's reached out, or some of his people, speaking to a lady now, have reached out and said, this cause, what you're doing. And of course, he's been on the show, and I don't know if he has, but they have obviously seen some of the other shows because they brought up Emma and Grandpa Rod and that service and that. Excuse me. So it's what I'm getting at is funny because every time I start to try and direct this towards something, I keep getting pushed back, or when I get too much, God gives me a smack upside the head and pushes me down this other path. And there's something going on in this lane where we're helping the great American middle class. We're not helping them. We're bringing information and pressing and begging and pursuing for you, as well as I am for me, and we all are for each other, to come together and make these journeys and make these things important. And we feel the vibe. We feel the movement coming together. And we need to just keep that momentum up, because there's a point where it breaks through. That movement, you keep moving, and then it breaks through, because it's just that kinetic energy is building up, and the thing that's the force de resistance at some point doesn't have the resistance to be able to not collapse under the force of us moving forward and putting this message ahead. There should be, for all that everybody thinks about Trump, there's a lot of great things about what he does. And one thing he truly, truly is as a person is he hates war. These wars that are going on, it's not fake. He's not an adjunct to the the big war machine. And I believe that he's not necessarily the greatest person in the world, or we don't like how he expresses himself. I've never been a New Yorker, so I have sympathies, and probably the closest thing I've ever been is a Californian, which is the opposite side of the scale. Of course, who knows what they are now. Oh, by the way, did you hear Gavin? I heard this morning. Is this true? I think it is. Last budget cycle, he came on TV and said, "We are so excited. I'm going to be the first governor I know in this state, maybe in the entire country, going to be able to announce something nobody else has ever been able to do, and that is have I think he said 80 billion, $100 billion surplus, and this is the greatest thing in the world." Less than a year later, when the actual things started to roll out, it's $100 billion in the loss. He was offering to give more people money. We're going to send you, I think he said $1,500 to every person. He didn't say citizen, every person. So I don't know what's going on with crazy people and why they're still in their office. I don't know why people aren't looking at that, and it's not all over the news. Unless it's just not true, which I don't think that's the case. But if I didn't see this little clip it today, I wouldn't know about it, because I've been seeing a lot of these weird things about Gavin Newsom, him saying bold and crazy things. But I think a lot of those are just to rile people up to get clickbait. So I don't know what's true, but whatever it is, it's time for us to come together in this thing that we have called the Great American Experiment. It's time for us to do our part. It's time for us to do our work. One of the organizations I'm talking to right now, which is really exciting, like I said, it brings all this together, and it's keeping me in a path that it's a mission, and every time I try and take it off to be something else, I get thrown right back onto it. So it's a mission, and that's more important than anything else in the world, because it has to do with my family. It has to do with involvement with my kids, and you tie that together with being able to have another healthy, stable day on this earth. I love Rob Thomas, but he talks about not being afraid of getting old. It's a beautiful line. I'm not afraid of getting old. It's one less day I'm dying young. Every day I live, it's one less day I'm dying young. And it's just such an amazing world we live in, because how much things can change. And it can change again right the other way. So I better keep my P's and my Q's in order, so that God can quit smacking me upside the head. I'm starting to get a little bit headachy. I know I deserve it. And I'm just looking to you guys for additional advice. Come in, support what we're doing, be part of this movement, be around for the time that is needed for us to move forward and to become that next evolution of the human species, to have that human experience at a level that's now beyond what has been ever before previously experienced by the human species. I did not plan for that sentence to come out. It started to sound really cool. Hey, and you know what? I really appreciate you guys being around. I know we're new at this ish. We're not quite at a year yet. I was telling somebody the other day, I was talking to you about these things. We started this. I built a business over 30 years, a machinery business, and it kind of wound on down. Not quite 3 years ago, started, a couple of employees let go and had things kind of inventory selling off, and then started canceling contracts anyway. We started winding that down about a year and a half ago, starting this up. But the reason I bring up the machinery business is because at that time, as I was building that business, I loved building it. Didn't like once we were there. that's the story we'll talk about sometime after we're sitting in a friend's party, hanging out on a couch or a porch. I tell the people in the green room, this Insights and Straight Talk is not an interview. I hate that. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah, the desk, blah, 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 blah. and you go to the next one. I mean, you try and make that as smooth as possible. This show, just imagine, come with us. We're sitting at a couch. Come on. We're sitting on a couch. We're just at a friend's house, a friend's party, and we're talking about something we're both really interested in. That may be about economics. That may be about AI. That may be about heartbreak. That may be about, how do I get through this, man? That may be about some mental health. But then all of a sudden, it's a really interesting topic, and your friends start leaning in from the couches on the side. It's what we're doing here, man. That's what a watch party is. And like I always say, the neighbor that lives next to you, know what color the melon in there? Now, mine changes a little bit because I get a little sun as much as I can. But the melon on your skin, it doesn't affect who you are, especially when you're sitting around having those discussions, those round the table discussions about inflation, about AI, about what are we going to do, how are we going to do this, how are we going to, the dog's got to eat, man. How we got to pay the medical bill, we got the phone bill coming up, the gas bill's still there, on and on and on. Part of the reason I moved here as well is because I knew that the cost of living was lower, so I can bring my ability. I don't have to. I used to have to make $60,000 a week minimum just for payroll. I swallow now when I think about it, and that difference is now I do have a lot of debt because when it unwound, it flipped on me. There's some shenanigans involved in that, but we have some debt. I have. It's just me. I am in debt to people that aren't just banks and behind big walls. I'm in debt to friends and people that respected me in the industry. So, hats off to you guys. I know we've had some good words and we've had some longer discussions and we've had some WTF, man, what's going on? And so I appreciate you. I appreciate me not getting a bullet through the windshield here. No, I'm just kidding. I appreciate everybody sticking with me, and I appreciate you guys. Please subscribe. Please like the episode. Support the program. Write your congressman. Mention. Ask me if there's something I can send you to mention to somebody. I've sent these emails out. I should read a couple of you. Nah, I won't do it. Maybe I'll do it next time. But I told you I've kind of been working on this. And really, I'm taking it slow because I don't know WTF I'm doing because I don't know. I mean, this is all new. It's like a year and a half ago, I didn't know a thing about AI. And then my son, while I was at it's 2 years ago almost now. First time I've heard about stuff, but first time I was at my granddaughter's birth, and not her second birthday's coming up, so it'll be almost 2 years now. Her second birthday is in October, so was her first. So was her birthday. That was funny. I just thought of that. So when we're there, my son just happened to be in the kitchen, and Lauren was. I think she was working out on something at the time, and no, they weren't home from the hospital yet. We came, give them a little break, and he came and then we were eating some breakfast, and so I was asking him because somebody asked me about something, or he was doing something, and I asked him about this, and he said, "Look, start out with Chat GPT," and he said it's free. there's free version of it. Well, I didn't really know what it was all about, but I did it there. Just on my phone, and I picked some things up. You know what, son of a bitch? Not quite 2 years later, I'm pretty knowledgeable about AI and automation. I am not him. As a matter of fact, I had to go and ask to him the other day, what's a curator? Somebody is asking me to be a curator. And so even the basic industry terminology, I'm still learning, much less Bitcoin and all that stuff. Somebody tried to pay me in Bitcoin the other day. I couldn't pull it off. So there's still a lot of things I'm learning. Hey, Faz. Faz Rot. Dude, cool name. Awesome discussion, tech and coffee. It is the best combo. All right, I'm going to let that go, boy. Guys, I appreciate everything. That was a fun day. I mean, there's still 335 people or so on Faz. That's the way to end this. Tech and coffee is the best combo. Okay. Yeah, I'll go with that. I'm sure there's a couple teetotalers around, but we'll go with tech and coffee just because it really sounds cool. And you said it out loud, guys. Here on Insights, man, we have straight talk. We love what's going on with this movement. We love how it's moving. Please subscribe, add your support, pass the word around. And you know what? I'm going to be asking for some people to jump in because I'm going to have to be out.
Before you leave, if you'd like to watch another one of the podcasts, click the first link in the description. We love having you here and we appreciate all your support.
And with that, producer Barbie and I are out.